the Greater Navarre Area Chamber of Commerce Military Affairs Council, Inc. Has been established. It is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation in the state of Florida. So your contributions to it when you join, I notice I didn't say if you join, I said when you join, are completely tax deductible for you. I'm not your tax expert, but feel pretty comfortable by saying that it's tax deductible. As we have as tradition has, 100% of all the money goes right back into our community in support of military operations. So we will continue to be supporting things like annual awards at the various wings and the bases, or wing equivalent awards. Certainly support for the Navarre High School Junior ROTC that's right here in our own community, and of course any other events that come up. We may hit you up for bigger opportunities to support as they come available, but then you would know that any contributions you make to the MAC that we passed on to something, I'll use an example like the Black Hawk Memorial. If you wanted to contribute to that through us, as an example, that would certainly be a tax deductible contribution to you. So now the other side of that coin is that when we form that corporation, it is formed with the absolute bare bones of documentation today. So because we don't have any members, or at least we didn't have any members surely when we actually set it up. So we need members, we need membership. My plan, for whatever it's worth, was to have these first 3 or 4 meetings completely free and open to the public, not requiring membership in either the chamber or the MAC, just so you can get a chance to evaluate if you want to stay involved with the organization. We obviously hope that you do. We certainly plan to bring very interesting speakers to you. We've got representatives from all the bases here today, pretty much all the bases here today, so you can get kind of that firsthand knowledge and information about what's going on with the military and ways that you can, from the community standpoint, how you can support it. So hopefully you'll see some value in that, and then we'll be taking obviously memberships along the way, and then probably once we get to the January or February meeting, then we'll say, and we will hopefully have a nice base of membership, and then we can actually elect officers. We can discuss and debate exactly what our bylaws are going to look like. So this is truly the opportunity to be at the ground floor, and so you can actually have your voice in how this organization both is kind of born and as it sort of grows up and then matures, because we want this to be the most effective military support organization in South Santa Rosa County. That's the goal, that's the objective. We are here to support our military, and we want to be the absolute best that we can possibly be. So that's what certainly my objective and my goal is. I hope that y'all all share it. You can certainly show your support by joining the chamber and therefore joining the MAC. It's only $75 a year. I can promise you, you'll get, if you join and come to the meetings, you will get more value than if you just bought lunch one day a month. And we're going to pay for your lunch. Well, the MAC doesn't. We'll have sponsors. Hopefully, we'll have sponsors. I probably can't sponsor every lunch, but look on my. We've already talked about that. Speaking of lunch sponsorships, we do have lunch sponsorships available. You can see the crowd and the group, and hopefully it's going to be this much and more going forward, and hopefully you or your organization would like to sponsor the lunch. I've got my phone number and my email address on the agenda. If you don't have an agenda, raise your hand, we'll get one to you. But yeah, Jake, I got some messages over here. Farrell, do you want? So just let me know, and we'll get the list together for the lunch sponsorships for the coming year, and it's just another way that you can help support the military and support this organization. Chief, are you done eating? Sure. Are you ready to go? Absolutely. All right. Well, don't get up yet. I got to introduce you.
Tony, though, is a one-time safety instructor.
Sure.
Can I keep the table from falling over?
Oh, yes, please. Awesome. Okay, very good. Thank you. See, there's an attention to detail guy there. You're definitely on the team. All right, so Chief Norrad has been around just a year or two, so his bio takes a little while to read. And Chief, I apologize. This is off the Air Commando Association Hall of Fame website, so that's what you're fixing to hear yet again. Chief Master Sergeant retired Wayne Norrad began his career as the United States Air Force Special Tactics Combat Controller in 1971. He was only about 5 years old then, so not that bad. From then on, he has participated in the planning and execution of some of our nation's most sensitive operations, including conducted in Cambodia, Panama, Kuwait, and Iraq, to include Operation Just Cause and Desert Shield and Desert Storm. Chief Norrad injected special tactics capabilities into the formation of our nation's premier joint special operations team while developing high-altitude, high-opening parachute techniques and integrating air-ground assets to safely and successfully employ joint special operations forces into the battlefield. Chief Norrad was chosen as the first Chief Enlisted Manager of the 7th 20th Special Tactics Group. Later, he provided pivotal guidance during the transition of 23rd Air Force to Air Force Special Operations Command. His savvy for practical application and leadership abilities enabled his selection in 1992 as the Senior Enlisted Advisor to the Commander of Air Force Special Operations Command. Chief Norrad's sage insight led to multiple enduring processes in special tactics, such as the creation of Special Duty Assignment Pay, codifying battlefield lessons into procedures, enabling the Valor device for Air Force Commendation and Achievement Medals, enhancing combat control, pararescue, and special operations weather recruiting, and initiating the title and developing the design of the Air Force Command Chief Chevron, putting the Air Force senior enlisted leaders at the same executive level as their sister service contemporaries. He just recently retired as an Air Force civil employee working at the 24 SAL and also at AFSOC. He has 40 plus years of service that he has used to shape special operations and also serves with the Special Operations Warrior Foundation, the Air Commando Association, and the Combat Control Association. When I say this guy is the godfather of Air Force Special Tactics, let me tell you, if you Googled Air Force Special Tactics right now, a picture of Wayne Norrad would be the first hit on Google. So, without further ado, Chief Master Sergeant retired Wayne Norrad.
And hopefully that picture would be a lot younger picture. Okay, well, good afternoon. In 5 minutes. President Tony Alexander, we shared the table at dinner at Hobart one banquet. Yeah, great. Good to see you again. Thank you, and welcome to all the other chamber members, and also for Tony Hughes for inviting me to speak today. Your new chamber reminds me a little bit of the current political situation, but I won't go into that. Especially with my AFSOC PA buddies here, writing down everything that I say. Just to let you know, I'm no stranger to the area here. I moved here in July 1987, and I've never left, so I've been here for many years. I moved out to the beach in 1992, and I had a home built on White Sands Boulevard, and we've been there since February of '94. The last time I was involved with the chamber, of course it was the other chamber, was 1997-98 time frame when I owned a small coffee and ice cream shop called Whitecaps Cafe. Don't know if any of you ever visited there. We were only open for 14 months because it didn't go too well. I was trying to use my chief retired pay to, go 2 or 3 or 4 years until we got better established, and I ran out of money. So anyway. As you probably know, most of the families that are stationed at Hurlburt Field live here in Navarre, probably the majority. Here's a few demographics that impact the local economy of Hurlburt's surrounding communities. As of last December, we had 8,214 active duty military on Hurlburt, 126 reservists, over 10,000 family members, and 2,022 civilian employees and 2,100 contractors, all working at Hurlburt Field. The salaries paid to employees at Hurlburt are over $950 million a year. with 808 to the military members and another 141 million to civilian employees. So many of those people do reside in Navarre, and I would say a majority. So this definitely has an enormous impact on this community. Another example is the fact that Santa Rosa County businesses were awarded $2.8 million in contracts in 2015. So you get some of the business from Air Force Special Operations Command and the base. Let me tell you a few things about the kind of military people who live or recently lived here. One's a good friend of mine, also a combat controller. His name is Tech Sergeant Rob Gutierrez. Rob's an Air Force Cross recipient who moved here after he was severely injured in a firefight in Afghanistan. A little bit about the fight. He was going in as a 7th Special Forces Group team, kind of calm guy, close air support guy. They got into the middle of the town in a compound and were immediately engaged. Rob was shot right through the shoulder, went through his lung, and he was bleeding profusely, plus losing air in his lung. He wouldn't give up his radio for the team, started calling in airstrikes. They were so danger close to the enemy that the first time he called in F-16s just for a show of force, and they came screaming over the buildings where the enemy was and basically blew a couple of them off the roof. They were only like 10 to 15 feet off the ground. So anyway, Rob is shot. He's bleeding, his lung is collapsing. One thing, though, that I will mention is he turned around and he shot the son of a bitch that shot him and killed that guy, and he fell off the roof. So he was even right then. But his team, Special Forces team medic, a guy by the name of Mike Jones, decided that it was time to use the great big old needle that goes down through and it helps reinflate your lungs so that he could talk. He was the controller on the radio. So anyway, Mike did that. His lung got going again, and he was able to call in another airstrike from A-10s. And as they were strafing within like 20 feet of him, they beat feet out of town, got out where they could get a medevac in. He called in his own medical evacuation, and away they went. So anyway, he got awarded the Air Force Cross. That's the highest medal for heroism that the Air Force can bestow on anybody. So anyway, after all that, Rob rehabilitated for a while at Walter Reed, and then down in Fayetteville, where he was stationed at the time. But he moved here to be an instructor at Hurlburt at the Special Tactics Training Squadron. And then the 7th Special Forces Group decides to move here from Fort Bragg. So what's funny is that's a long way to drive to go to work, but the guy that saved his life, Mike Jones, moved on the same street with Rob here in Navarre. So isn't that pretty cool? So we fight a lot of times with other Army Special Operations units and MARSOC and the Navy SEALs, but in that case it was just a moving thing to see Mike move on the same street just a couple of houses down from him. I went fishing with them out on the Navarre Pier one day, and they were truly a couple of remarkable guys, very humble, et cetera, et cetera. Another person that lives here that you might not know of is a lady by the name of Valerie Chapman Nessel. Her husband was killed in Afghanistan in March 2002. So she and her 2 daughters moved here shortly thereafter and have remained here for many years. Her 2 daughters graduated from Navarre High School and are both now attending college. John Chapman was awarded the Air Force Cross for his extraordinary heroism on Operation Anaconda. That's better known as Roberts Ridge. That's where the Navy SEAL fell out of the back of the helicopter on the mountain, and they had to go back in and try to rescue him. Unfortunately, he was killed by the time they got back there. And unfortunately, John was killed on that mission. And you might have read recently in the newspapers around here that the Secretary of the Air Force has sent his decoration to the Secretary of Defense for upgrade possibility to the Medal of Honor. And I don't have to mention what the Medal of Honor is. You know, that's the highest award for heroism. But it would be the first one that the Air Force would get in over 40 years since Vietnam. So that's pretty special, especially for a lady and daughters that live right here in Navarre. And I'm sure you know, along with that, they'll get to go to Washington, D.C., and the President will posthumously award them with John's Medal, should it go through. A wing here on Hurlburt that owns Special Tactics Airmen, the one that I was attached to for many years, is the most highly decorated in the wing in the whole Air Force. I won't go into how many decorations they have, but all the Air Force crosses that have been bestowed since 9/11 have gone to Special Tactics Airmen. Unfortunately, that comes at a price. Percentage-wise, they have also had more KIAs, killed in action and wounded in action, than any other wing. And it's not just in combat. For example, two Special Tactics members collided on a training jump last year out at Hurlburt and fell to their death. One of those people lived here in Navarre and had 6 children. So what I'd like to talk a little bit about is how you can possibly engage and make a difference for some of these families who are in need of financial help. As you know, rules and regulations prevent the military from helping our military members and families from getting what you would think would be automatic, but that's not always the case. So I'm with the Air Commando Association. I'm their vice president right now, and we have a foundation that was started in 2012 called the Air Commando Foundation, and we try to fill some of those seams that the military cannot fill. I'll give you some examples. A female staff sergeant was diagnosed with terminal cancer. We helped fund a trip for her and her children to go to Disney for one last family vacation, and she's passed. And as I mentioned, the 2 airmen that were killed in free fall, they left behind 6 children. Or the one person left behind 6 children, and the Air Commando Foundation immediately gave her a $5,000 check to help with the expenses and the immediate needs right after he was killed. An EOD member from Hurlburt, Des Delorias, he was blown up by an ID, lost 3 of his limbs. He was rushed to Walter Reed, where his 7th-month pregnant wife was sent to his bedside during recovery. A baby shower had been planned here in the local area, and but she was in D.C., so the Air Commando Association Foundation paid for 5 of her best friends to go there and throw her a baby shower. Some of those things I think are pretty cool. There would be no other way to fund those without these kinds of foundations and organizations, and I hope that we can count on you as a MAC to help fill some of those seams. One of them that I think of in particular that might be something you'd be interested in, you remember I just talked about Rob Gutierrez. Well, he needed additional rehab when he moved here, so he went to Andrews Institute for several weeks. Because he was living in the area and not on what they call temporary duty status, he had to pay for all of his meals that are prescribed. They're part of the healing process. I've been there. I went 4 weeks myself. Still walk with a limp, but I'm not taking Motrin for my back anymore, so it helps some. But anyway, $56 a day to get those meals that have exactly what you need in your nutrition, etc., to help in your recovery. So what we did as a foundation was we told him to bring his receipts to the Air Commando Association office, and we'd reimburse him for that. And of course, there's many others that are from the local area that are going there, and we're kind of running out of money to help that. So what we just made a decision to do was to fund half of the cost. So perhaps the chamber would be willing to pay maybe the other half, or at least the other half to maybe those members who reside in Navarre. So that's just an idea. Another organization that I was proud of, and I was a director for 19 years, is the Special Operations Warrior Foundation. They provide any Special Operations assigned member, any service, who is killed in the line of duty, they provide their children with a full college education. I could go on and on about these organizations and how they help, and I hope that your MAC will engage and help out in some way. Another thing that's happening on base on Thursday at 9:30 in the morning at the Hurlburt Air Park. I'm excited because I was a special tactics operator. They're unveiling a new statue, a 7-foot bronze statue of a special tactics operator with his night vision goggles and his weapon and all that stuff. It's on top of like a 5-foot base. And Chief of Staff of the Air Force, General Goldfein, will be here to help unveil that statue. So anybody that can get on base would welcome you to come and partake in that ceremony.
Chief, if I can interrupt you, did they successfully conclude their fundraising for that memorial?
They have not. I talk to Steve Haggett constantly. We are still about $12,000 to $14,000 behind. And anybody that wants to make a $2,000 donation, your name or your organization will go on that wall on the 1st of December. They're waiting until they get all the donations. But anybody who wants to partake of that, please contact me. I'll get you in touch with Steve Haggett.
Please contact me and
Yeah, Tony knows. Tony has already given, by the way, so thank you, Tony. Anyway, I'll stop there. Best wishes and good luck to the new chamber in your endeavor to make Navarre a better place to live. If I can help in any way, please don't hesitate to call on me. And thank you very much. Have a good evening.
So Chief, thank you so much for being our very, very first speaker ever. So
I like being
so
first there.
Exactly. Well, you've had a long history doing that. So we have a little certificate of appreciation here for you that we would like to present you with. And so TA, you got the camera up here. Awesome. And since we are brand new, we don't have our MAC coins yet. Go ahead and hold this, no problem.
Okay.
So in a shameless plug on behalf of my wife, I reached into my stash, and so I was honored in 2006 to be the first chair of the Fisher House of the Emerald Coast, which set out to build the Fisher House at Eglin Air Force Base across from the hospital. And this is a commemorative coin that was struck when the house was dedicated in 2010. So I'd like to present you with this Fisher House coin.
Well, thank
So
you.
thank you again. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. So we will jump now into reports from our military representatives. So Colonel Wilson, would you like to start off with Duke?